localized. No? So we have a very balanced. Dr. James Gomez will give us a perspective on the geopolitical happenings that have been going on, for global happenings, going on since year 2000, year 2020. Then we have Mr. Pang from Red Dot United, right? Who have a business exposure. Right? We have to have a balance, because most people in the opposition always talk about FT policies, and we are very against it. But let's hear from people who are from the business sector, what their perspective, right? And the needs to have a balanced views on about that, right? Then we have a teacher, educator, who talks about what lies ahead for our future generation, right? And of course, Derek, right? We'll talk about the retirement requirement and the incongruent, right? Incoherent policies that we have, the effects, right? A very warm welcome to all of them. Right? So the world is in turmoil since COVID-19 happens. Actually, a lot of changes. Even before that, when Trump was the prior president, we had a lot of trade tariff, and he's now back in office. We are expecting more. So there were, as a tiny little dot, it will affect us one way or another. We are actually constrained in between the two giants, China and US. Right? Then we have the Ukraine war, right, which disrupted supply chain, global supply chain, which causes our hardship in inflation. But is the hardship alone unique to Singapore? Well, maybe yes, maybe no, but there are certain things, tax increases, that is not universal. It's actually caused by our government alone, right? So beside that, there seems to be a trend of government changing or instability. We have Japan have a minority government right now after the election, right? Just this year. Then we have Thailand also have an election, and the biggest winner actually was the party was disrupted in some sense, right? And going back to dictatorship, right? But in Japan, it seems that the ultra right or the conservative party seems to gain ground, right? This is not a new phenomenon. What he also repeated in UK, right? He also repeated in France. In UK, Nigel Farage, the ultra-right, right, anti-immigrants politician, actually gained ground. So is in France, right? The left or the right actually won. Italy, Germany, right, are all changing. It seems that government are all changing in the world after the post-COVID. So will that give us a surprise for this coming election? This is what we want to know. Or we are, as a political activist right at the forefront, we want to understand what actually makes all these changes. Is globalization, which based on free movement of labor, that's migrants, aggressive free movement, is coming to an end. And free trade is coming to the end, where we have a bipolar syndrome. There's going to be either you are with the West or you're with the East. That type of constraint, but we are stuck right in the middle. Right. Of course, I would actually ask Dr. James Gomez to talk about coalition parties as a phenomenon. It happens. People are scrambling to form coalition government, whether it's Japan, in France, right, which end up with a minority government also. Right, minority government means you do not have 50% of the seats in the parliament. Right, right. Why coalition fails in some perspective, right? And of course, Lawrence Wong, our prime minister, also did a scam mogul, right, on that perspective. that PAP may not win. You must be very careful with your votes, right? Can coalition government works in Singapore, or whether that will be the end if that happens? But that will not happen in my lifetime because it will take a lot of incompetence from PAP to end up losing 50% of seat because they have a People's Association $1 billion per year budget. If you can lose for their grassroots, right, sponsor their grassroots activities, you can even lose with $1 billion budget, right? Then you are pure incompetence, politically speaking, right? So, but we want to explore, right, what will be happening, right? Of course, local issues. We have a lot of local issues. Our local issue, CP3. I tell you. We have problems of cost of living is a top, definitely, right? GST increase, COE increase, right? Simply go stun, right? We call it water tax increase, water bond tax. Carbon tax is going to increase dramatically in the coming years, right? Medishield premiums increase threefold in the coming years, right? Medical costs also increase. Inflation at record high, right? Population increase, we are past 6 million. And if you do a calculation on their water consumption projection, they're aiming for 10 million, no joke, by 2065. Right? I have not been POFMA for this, although I have somewhat of POFMA king, but I have not been POFMA on this. We'll talk about POFMA later. Right? So, HDB prices, whether it's BTO or resale is even worse. 1.7 million, 1.8 million. Right? Public transport fares increase, in spite of the fact that they screw up with the MRT so badly. We still have a breakdown just a few days ago. I think 2 days ago. Right? Property tax increase. And that affect even HDB owners. Right? And everything seems to be increased in Singapore except our quality of life. Can this be sustainable? Right? Of course, we have governance issue. Right? The Raja for the Red Out saga, right, is a governance issue. Whether how they explain, I still not convinced. Right? I'm not convinced that it is right for that to happen. Right? Is Warren corruption? Of course, we have both from the PAP as well as the opposition have a extramarital affairs issue. Marine Parade, little political buzz going around. Right? Marine Parade seems to have a lot of issue. The see no bus stop. Right? You cannot see the bus coming in the bus stop. I've personally been there. Right? And parliamentary lying saga. Right? From one lying to the other lying. Right? And OBU, I call it the Obiang unit. Right? Is really an outdated device. Right? It's really a junk to me. Right? And of course, the NTUC, a liaisons deal is a go stand again. U-turn. It's a governance issue. Right? And the weaponizing of POFMA, of course, I'm the one who suffered for it. Right? And still continual persecution of political dissidents. We have a most distinguished Lee Hsien Yang, ironically becomes a political asylum seeker in other places. Right? And the latest, the NRC mystery saga. What happened? Are we supposed to believe our NRC is confidential or not? What is, and they did another U-turn. Right? Sagas after saga, scandals after scandals, breakdowns after breakdowns. Right? And I have a new slogan for PAP. This is a slogan adapted from PAP's 1988 slogan. Singapore on the broken track. Let's change it. Right? Now, of course, the jobs retrenchments started early this year. And now the lately is oddly farm is going to retrench also. Apart from that, the foreign talent policy is really an issue when it comes to when the jobs are not enough for everyone. Right? That may be a local issue for the next election. Right? The CPF CPF encompass not only a retirement financing, it encompass your Medicare, medical medical care financing, housing financing, and even the education. It's a 包高料 fund. Can it be sustainable? I don't believe so. As an economist to do policy, I don't believe that should be the case. Right? We may hear some policy option from speakers later. And the most dangerous part is the nuclear power. Although they keep saying the nuclear power is nice, because we are going to have 10 million people. So they say, why not try nuclear power? But I say, if we can't even manage a MRT station system, am I going to trust it with a nuclear toy? Right? And nobody is really talking about it. Right? Housing is a young and old device. The young ones want cheap, the old one want expensive. But where is the balance? Right? So there are so many issues around within these 4 years. We will not believe PAP will total, right? Will actually collapse. But Lawrence Wong put it as such, it may. Right? So I will invite Dr. James Gomez to give his perspective on how the geopolitical uh, political evolution will actually affect our progress in Singapore. Right? James, to you.